How's it going, guys? This is Titan, and we are back on the podcast feed. Well, not the podcast feed yet, it's still on YouTube, but we are back, and we today are going to be reviewing the Survivor Series, the wargames pay-per-view that has literally, as I speak, just finished. Yes, it is approximately 5:30 in the morning of Sunday the 27th of November, and I thought I could go to sleep, but in fact I won't. I will just get it recorded now to give my editor Curtis some time to edit out any mistakes I make, and I'll probably make a few, and we can just get this show on the road, because again, this is a pretty new venture for me to just record without any edits or Curtis having time to edit out all of my mistakes and retake a lot of things. So this is just going to be done in a one shot, so just bear with me on that. And we're going to do something for the first time, which is review a pay-per-view. And hopefully it's all still locked in my mind, because I've just finished watching it. We'll get to my opinion of the show at the end, but we'll just rattle through this. I mean, this could take 20 minutes, it could take forever, it just depends how long I ramble. But we are here today to talk about the Survivor Series wargames pay-per-view that has literally just gone off the air. And so let's get into it. So the show opens up with Ozzy Osbourne welcoming us to the Survivor Series as his band, Black Sabbath's War Pigs, plays over the top of the opening video package, showing all the competitors. We're greeted by an audience of around 15,500 in the TD Garden, home of the Boston Celtics. That one's for you, Chet. You got Corey Graves and Michael Cole on commentary, and instead of doing it on camera in their commentary positions, they're at the commentator's desk. They are doing they stood up in front of the Wargames cage. It had kind of a UFC feel, like you always see them standing up in front of the cage, which was a nice little touch. First match on the card was the women's Wargames match, which was Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Asuka, Alexa Bliss, and why is it not written down here? Someone else who I will obviously get to in a second, versus Damage Control, Bayley, Io Sky, Dakota Kai, Nikki Cross, and Rhea Ripley. Mia Yim. Mia Yim is the other competitor on the babyface side. So there we go. You have Bianca, team captain, starting for the babyfaces, Dakota Kai in for the heels. This match started slow, but it did pick up some pace. And this match and the main event, the men's Wargames match, there was a kind of shift in how it was done. Now, people who are familiar with how a Wargames match works, back in the day it used to be determined by a coin toss to see who gets the advantage, who gets the 2-on-1 advantage, the 3-on-2 advantage, for how each member comes into the match. The advantage on this one was to the heel team, the Damage Control team. So you had Bianca and Dakota Kai starting off. Io Sky was in next, giving them the 2-on-1 advantage. They double-teamed Bianca Belair. Asuka came in to even the odds. Nikki Cross then would come in and give the Damage Control ladies a 3-on-2 advantage. The match really picked up here, where Nikki started to bring in weapons. She slammed the cage door on Asuka's head, which I'm sure was tremendous. The crowd were cheering for tables. Nikki Cross didn't oblige because she's a nasty heel. Alexa Bliss came in, making it 3 apiece. She ended up getting the baby faces back on side, but still, in the end, before the entrance of the next competitor, Nikki Cross hit a huge crossbody onto all the other competitors down in the ring from the top of the cage, and that would not be the last time in this match that someone would come off the top of the cage. Bayley came in. She grabbed a ladder to use as a weapon. She was the one who ended up getting the table, so the crowd cheered that. At this point, I would say the table was the most over entity in the match. That's the one thing the crowd were cheering for. None of the women, just tables. So Mia Yim would come in and she would bring in yet more weapons. There was a four-way superplex spot where everybody ended up down in the ring just in time for Rhea Ripley to come in last for her team and just clean house on the baby faces. And then finally, making up the match and starting the match officially, Becky would come in and the match beyond, the War Games match, is officially on. Becky wipes out all the heels and she ends up hitting a trash can assisted leg drop onto Io Sky. There was a lot of really good sequences here. A riptide on Becky that was initially foiled by Asuka, and then Asuka would use the poison mist, the green mist on Rhea to take her out of the match briefly. Nikki Cross ended up foiling a Tower of Doom spot, which is a shame because I do like a Tower of Doom where you've got some people on shoulders and some people hitting suplexes and then they all fall down. I mean, it's contrived as all hell, but I mean, who cares? It's wrestling. You can get away with that. You definitely do that in a real fight though, right? Right? Yeah, of course. So this little sequence ended when Io climbed up to the top of the cage. Now, Io, I don't know if she had a problem with her footwear or if she was just disorientated, but there was a couple of times where she'd gone up to hit a move off the ropes and she either slipped or she just couldn't hit the moves right, or she was struggling with the ropes, and I thought, is it her footwear? So when I saw her climb to the cage and she was on top of the cage and she's not holding on to anything, I thought, okay, if she's got a problem with her footwear, this is a bad move because that's a long way down to be having problems, with what's on your feet. But she was fine. She hit a perfect moonsault onto, I believe, Bianca and Becky, flattening them. Everyone was down, but the babyfaces rallied. Bianca would hit who was it on? Was it on? Who was it on? No, it was on Rhea. Bianca hit no, it was on Bayley. Excuse me, it was Bayley. Sorry, I'm just checking through my notes, which are really badly written, and I'm just realising this. Bianca hit the KOD onto Bayley into the cage, between the ring ropes and the cage. And Becky, who had climbed up to the top of the cage, she'd laid out both of Dakota Kai and Io Sky onto a table, big leg drop off the top of the cage, and that would get the 3 count for the baby faces. Team Bianca, Team Becky picks up the win in that one. Decent opener. The crowd enjoyed it. I just wish they'd have given the ladies in the match a bit more appreciation rather than just the weapons and the tables, because they all worked hard and they did give us a few decent spots to latch onto. So yeah, all in all, decent match there. So that was followed by a Lesnar hype video, just again promoting the fact that Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar. Nothing we haven't seen. There was a SmackDown recap on the backstage chat Kevin Owens had with Sami Zayn, talking about, who are you loyal to? Are you loyal to Roman or are you loyal to yourself? They will turn on you, Sami. You should see this coming. We then go to live backstage. Jay and Roman. You know, Jay saying, Roman, we can't trust Sammy. And Roman just says, you know, I will know if I can trust Sammy. And he just tells Heyman, get Sammy in here. And Heyman, this is the age of technology, just instead of personally going to get Sammy, he just gets out his phone and says, ring Sami Zayn. So he summons Sammy for the Tribal Chief to chat to. So we've got AJ Styles and Finn Balor up next. This is a match that I thought had happened more than once, but apparently it's only happened once in WWE. And a few years ago, this was the Indie Dream match. This was the leaders of the Bullet Club colliding, and when it happened the first time, I believe it was at a pay-per-view that was originally scheduled to not have the match on it. Half of the crew were doing an overseas tour. The other half of the crew were working the pay-per-view, and then several people who were on the show contracted a case of... excuse me, keep burping. Several people on the crew for that show contracted mumps, which was, you know, very odd, and it's just something you don't hear about all the time. You know, they contracted mumps. I believe Bray Wyatt was one of them. I believe Roman Reigns was one of them. Finn Balor was scheduled to face Bray Wyatt on that show, and as a make good, WWE pulled Styles off of the overseas tour, and they gave us Styles versus Finn Balor with no storyline build-up, but they had an absolute banger of a match. And personally, I was looking forward to the rematch. I just thought it happened more than once, but no, I was wrong. It's only the second time they'd ever fought, and yeah, as far as matches go, I'd have to go back and watch that one again. This one was fine. I wouldn't call it superior. It'd be nasty or like unfair to say, oh, it was definitely inferior, because again, I'd have to go back and watch the previous match. This match was good. You know, back and forth. These two have got really good chemistry. Again, I swear I've seen this match more than once, but again, apparently not. They did have their seconds with them, seconds and thirds, I suppose. Priest and Dominic for Balor, and the Good Brothers, Anderson and Gallows for Styles. This was decent, you know. Just there's a lot of high flying, a lot of really smooth technical maneuvers in here, and it was very basic psychology. Balor was going after AJ's midsection, obviously targeting the coup de grace, the double foot stomp, and AJ was going after Balor's leg for the calf crusher. Somewhere along the way, I'm not sure exactly how this happened, Balor ended up with a humongous welt on the bottom of his back, and it looked really nasty. It's one of them where, you know, when he takes a shower, he's really gonna feel that. It looked pretty gnarly, but yeah, this was good. I mean, it was a modern style. It was a modern style technical wrestling match. You know, a lot of yay boo punches and chops and Pele kicks and moonsaults and missed top rope maneuvers. The long and short of it is, after a lot of back and forth, AJ Styles, phenomenal forearm, 1, 2, 3. AJ Styles gets the victory, and that's 2 losses tonight for the Judgment Day. That's not going to go down well, and Finn's not going to be happy at all. But we'll see where the storyline development goes with that one. So following that, we got a Rumble promo for January the 28th. Fantastic. A Liv Morgan promo video, just documenting her rise from, little child to now where she's basically a crazy chick. And I, for one, dig crazy chicks. Big fan of Liv Morgan. We then had the return of Ozzy Osbourne plugging his new album, Patient Number 9. And he asks us to turn up the effing volume. And I've got to say about Ozzy Osbourne, he's lived in America for, over 40 years now? But he's still got the Brummy accent, and you just want to hear him shouting, Sharon, Sharon. He was basically a reanimated corpse when he was in the Osbournes, and that was like 20 years ago. And bless him, he's still going. Good for him. But yeah, turn up the effing volume and listen to his new album. And that was the message he was sending to us. We had the SmackDown women's title match up next. Shotzi versus Ronda. And this was everything it kind of needed to be. It wasn't very long. Shotzi was always the underdog. She not only had to contend with Ronda, she had Shayna Baszler on the outside. Despite, she put up a decent fight, but in the end, judo throw from the top by Ronda onto Shotzi, a Piper's Pit followed by an armbar. Shotzi, she had to tap out, so Ronda retains there. I think that was probably the most predictable match on the show. But again, with all due respect, this was probably when a lot of people went to the toilet. And that's just the way it is at shows. There's always that one match where people are like, right, I don't need to know the result of this. And that would have been that match. Next, we had a Cody Rhodes promo video, again documenting his return and his basically his return and like what he's done since his return, and then obviously him getting the injury, and once again you get to see the humongous covering half his chest bruising from his pectoral tear, which again, whoever let him into a wrestling ring with that much bruising, and basically it's internal bleeding. Bruising is internal bleeding. With that much internal bleeding, I'm sorry. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But I mean, you got to give the guy all the credit in the world. But yeah, just seeing all that bruising again just reminded me, like, God, you loony, you absolute lunatic. I would never have gone near a fight, real or otherwise, with that much bruising. That was insane. But yeah, so we saw that, and then that was quickly followed by a WrestleMania weekend promo, which instantly led my mind to, I'm going to that. If you haven't heard on a previous episode, I am going to WrestleMania next year, where hey. So yeah, so that got me up for the rest of the show. Not that I wasn't before, but I was like, yes, I'm going to that, and it's going to be awesome. So, we cut back to the live show, and Sammy has arrived in the Tribal Chief's locker room, and Roman basically, he tests his loyalty. He just says, why did you lie to Jay? Why, are you going to lie to me? Can I trust you? And Sammy is either really honest or really convincing, and Roman buys it, but when they embrace at the end and he hugs Sammy, and Roman still isn't quite convinced. You can tell he has a smile on his face, and then that smile fades very quickly. So we're still not sure where that one's going to go. So then we move on to the penultimate match of the evening. Again, only 5 matches. So Tony Khan, if you're listening, 5 matches. This show went just over 3 hours. And it went by in an instant, and it was never boring. It was engaging as it needed to be. Sometimes less is more, and Tony Khan has never subscribed to that theory. Vince McMahon certainly never subscribed to that theory. So it's nice to see a bit of restraint being shown by Paul the Game. Fantastic stuff. So yeah, match number 4, the 4th of 5. A US title triple threat match. This, for just a standard match, you could, I mean, again, depending on your view on the 2 War Games matches, but for me, this was the most exciting match from bell to bell. The storyline development in the main event was fantastic, but this is just a back and forth encounter. The US title triple threat was the match for me. You had a lot of just early, just jockeying for position, and I think very early on, I could sort of. I mean, a lot of people say, oh yeah, I can see the finish coming. You can see who's going to be winning this by how they do this and how they do that. And I did suspect that the eventual outcome would be the eventual outcome, but there was a few times where they got me. You had Bobby Lashley just dominating early with his power. Seth just being Seth. I mean, Seth's fantastic. They all are. You know, Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley. They're all fantastic at being them, at being their character, at being their character, and just great professional wrestlers. I mean, I can't really give a higher compliment than that. But yeah, great back and forth match. The end couple of sequences, especially, were really good, really well done, really well executed. And you genuinely thought at any time any one of the 3 would come out on top. You had Seth going for a Phoenix Splash on Lashley, and Lashley moves, Seth rolls through. Oh, excuse me. It is early, excuse me. Seth rolls through, and he's eventually took out of the ring. There's a hurt lock on Theory, which Theory reverses into like the I always call it the Bret Hart spot, the push off the turnbuckles to pin someone who's got you in a submission move. And as the referee's counting on 2, Seth comes out of nowhere with a frog splash, and that pin is broken up right at the death by Bobby Lashley. And that was a really good near fall, really convincing. And then they go into the finish sequence where Seth goes to hit his superplex Falcon Arrow combo. As Seth rolls through the superplex, he picks up Theory for the Falcon Arrow. Bobby Lashley hits a big spear, and as he hits Seth, Seth goes down. Theory, who he still had up for the Falcon Arrow, falls on top of him and gets the 1, 2, 3. Austin Theory, once again, United States champion. And it was really well done. How they have booked Austin Theory. Again, a lot of people were skeptical, like this was a guy who couldn't miss, and then he just kept losing. But now they've ditched the selfie thing, they've ditched the gimmick, they've ditched the smiley Austin Theory. This Austin Theory's all business, and this Austin Theory, he wasn't dominant in any way, but he does have a harder edge to him. And I did suspect that they might put the belt back on him tonight, and they did. Because, I mean, Seth and Bobby don't need it. Seth and Bobby, to me, are in the world title category, and Theory will get there, but that belt serves Theory right now better than it does either Rollins or Lashley, because they've both been world champion. That's where they should be focusing, and Roman Reigns needs some challengers right now, so definitely the best decision they could have made for me. So yeah, fantastic match, and definitely worth watching, as is the rest of the pay-per-view, but that one especially. So then we had a lot of hype videos just to pad out the show, which WWE tend to do. We had a Miz promo video from, again, the beginning of his career to all the Dexter Lumis stuff, which has been going on, which started off as intriguing, and now it's just a bit like, whatever. I mean, it's something to do with the Miz. I mean, I don't hate the Miz like some people do, but he's just annoying. So we had a New Day ad for Black Friday, basically hawking a load of merch. All good fun, I suppose. And then we come to the main event, which is the Bloodline team versus the Brawling Brutes team, which is the Brawling Brutes, Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre. Obviously the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, the Usos, Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. Prior to the entrances, Jay comes into Roman's locker room and says, you know, what's the deal with Sami? And Roman just says, look, I need you to focus. I need you to be my right-hand man. And I know exactly what I'm going to do. So Roman lays the law down. That's his business, no one else's. Then we head out to the ring for the main event. So everyone makes their entrance. Butch is in first for the Brawling Brutes. Jay is in for the Bloodline. And this match, again, it used to be a coin toss, but it was actually determined by a series of matches. Rhea won the advantage for her team, which allowed her team to have the advantage in the women's match. But Sheamus had won the advantage for the, I guess, the de facto babyface team of the Brawling Brutes. In this match. So Butch was in first and with Jay, and then you had a Brawling Brute member coming in next, followed by Bloodline and so on. So we had Jay and Butch, and that was quickly followed by Ridge Holland. Jimmy Uso, Jay's brother, was set to come in, but Roman, as the tribal chief and he who shall not be messed with or talked back to, pulls Jimmy back and he sends in Sami. Sami and Jay do not get along. And he sends in Sami, and Sami looks apprehensive like, what, me now? And Roman is very unequivocally saying, yes, you, now do it. So Sami goes out and he has to back up. He has to back up Jay Uso, and this has an interesting dynamic, because not only does Jay not like his opponents, he doesn't like his partner at this point, but it's either work with him or get beaten. So you know, nice little storyline nuggets there. One thing I did appreciate on commentary was they made a reference to Paul Heyman having experience in wargames matches. And they referenced what is my favourite wargames match of all time, which is the Dangerous Alliance versus Sting Squadron from, I believe, Wrestle War 92. The Dangerous Alliance of Larry Zbyszko, Bobby Eaton, Arn Anderson, Rick Rude, and a very young Steve Austin, stunning Steve Austin, versus, I believe, the Natural Dustin Rhodes, the Steiner Brothers, Nikita Koloff, and Sting. That is some match, but it's not for the squeamish. That is a bloody brawl, an old school 2-ring cage match, old school war games with the roof on the cage. That is a bloody brawl, and it is well worth your time to seek out on the network. That is my recommendation for this podcast. So once you've checked out the Survivor Series of 2022, take yourself back 30 years and watch that one. Wrestle War 1992, Dangerous Alliance versus Sting Squadron. You will not regret it. So that was the reference that Heyman does have experience in wargames matches, because he was Paulie Dangerously and he was the manager of the Dangerous Alliance. Another thing to note, that when they kept cutting away from the ring to shots of Roman in the cage, Paul Heyman, and again, he must have been doing this the whole match, because there's no, I don't know if there's any way they could say, right, camera's coming on you, Paul. Paul has his hands together and his head bowed, like looking slightly downwards, but like at Roman Reigns. You know, just permanently paying homage to his tribal chief. And I just thought, just the method, the method character work of Paul Heyman, again, just absolutely phenomenal. And it's just a small thing, but worth pointing out. Fantastic stuff. So Sammy goes in, and Sammy evens the odds. Drew McIntyre is quickly in. After that, the first period with just the two people in the ring, that's 5 minutes. Each intervening period is 3 minutes, and then the wargames match, the match beyond, as it used to be called, where the fall will take place, that's just to a finish, to when there's a winner. So these periods are quite short. Drew comes in and he obviously takes over. He starts taking down Sammy and Jay. Jimmy is then allowed to enter. Jimmy is the guy in this one who brings in the plunder. He brings in 3 tables. Jay is so ticked off with Sammy that he tells Sammy, no, don't touch the table. I'll do it. You go and punch somebody. Go and kick somebody. I'll do it. Just arguing over everything. Jimmy has to play peacemaker again. Yeah, so it's not going well for the bloodline. So yeah, the Brawling Brutes side gets the advantage back with Kevin Owens coming into the match. I mean, he starts swinging the chair, he hits a DDT, he hits a cannonball, a lovely swanton. Him and Sammy do have a little standoff. Very briefly, no, nothing, you know, no punches exchanged, no physicality, just a little like standoff, like, you know, oh, what's going to happen here? And we would get to that. So Kevin Owens would then go on to put Jimmy Uso through a table. Looked kind of painful. Looked like he didn't go through it flush, but I guess you know what you're getting into if you start playing with the furniture. Solo comes in to even the odds. Solo Sikoa for the bloodline. Him and KO have a great little sequence. And KO's hitting him with punches, forearms, a couple of super kicks, and Solo's hulking up like Umaga, and he does remind me of Umaga. If you look at Umaga's mannerisms, and again, I believe he was their uncle. Solo and the Usos and Roman, Umaga was their uncle. Uncle Eddie, I believe they call him. Probably because Eddie was his name. Don't know why I said that's what they call him. Yeah, Uncle Eddie. He's got a lot of Umaga about him, Solo Sikoa. But yeah, so eventually, KO would try the powerbomb on Solo on the middle section, which had like metal diamond plating to kind of basically cover the gap, because you don't want to trap your foot in between 2 rings, because that just screams like, you know, Achilles tendon snappage right there. So yeah, diamond plating. KO takes a bump on his back on the diamond plating, and it sounded pretty nasty. So, Sheamus comes in as the last member of his team, and Sammy tries to stop him, and Sammy, bless him, he's not going to overpower Sheamus. Sheamus just ends up ripping the door out of his hands. Sheamus runs wild, big clotheslines, big body slams. As the clock hits 0, Sheamus hits a white noise on I believe one of the Usos, and with everyone down, it's time for Roman. Roman enters the match. He pulls up his troops. Sheamus pulls up his troops. It's a 5-on-5 face-off, and they all start brawling. You know, fist and fire, right hands, left hands. The guys are going for it. In the end, Roman's the one who turns the tide. after he takes care of whichever member of the opposition he was taking care of, he just lays in an uppercut on each of his opponents, taking them down. Big Superman punch to Sheamus, and while trying to establish control, the Bloodline trying to establish a bit of control, the Brawling Brutes turn the tables, and they do, I mean, it is a bit contrived, but again, the fans were really into this. They did all 5 members of the Brawling Brutes all did Sheamus's 10 beats of the, I forget what they call it, is it the Bodhrán or the Baldron or whatever? Basically, they're just doing forearms to the chest just for the crowd to count along. All 5 members did it to all 5 members of the Bloodline. And the crowd got to count along, because if there's one thing crowds love to do, it's count. Just watch any Royal Rumble. Counting along will get them cheering and shouting every time. So yeah, Roman and Sheamus go back and forth, a lot of like heavy hitting, as you can imagine. KO hits a stunner on Roman after a great back and forth sequence. And as KO pins him, and they go, this is it. And you're expecting someone to come and knock KO off of Roman. But you don't, and you think, oh my God, this is it. And then all of a sudden the referee stops counting. Sami Zayn has dived in and he's grabbed hold of the referee's hand to stop him counting. And Kevin Owens is looking at Sami like, are you kidding me? And KO basically asked the question, what are you doing? Are these your boys? Is this your family? Is this your family? Tell me, where do you stand? And while they're chatting, Jimmy Uso throws a super kick at KO. KO catches the foot. And as he catches the foot with no hands free, Sami low blow to Kevin Owens, his longtime best friend, the guy who's been trying to warn him about the Bloodline, don't trust the Bloodline. But Sami is so desperate to prove his loyalty. Sami Zayn, uppercut to the nuts, right in front of Roman, right in front of Jimmy and Jay, right in front of Solo, so everyone can see where his loyalty lies, and it is with the Bloodline. And Kevin Owens is propped up in the corner. Sami stares at Roman, and Roman nods to Sami, like a little nod of like almost older brother, fatherly approval. And Sami, taking his marching orders, hits a haluva kick right to Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens falls into his arms. Jey Uso climbs to the top rope, and Sami places him perfectly. Jey Uso hits an Uso splash onto Kevin Owens. 1, 2, 3. Sami Zayn has proven beyond all reasonable doubt that he is loyal to the Bloodline. He has helped the Bloodline achieve the win. He set up the winning fall. He gave the winning fall to Jay. He could have pinned KO there. KO was KO'd from the haluva kick, no doubt about it. But he served him up to Jay as almost a peace offering. He served up KO as a peace offering to Jay. Jay hit the splash. 1, 2, 3. Job done. And just before the show goes off the air, Roman gives Sami a big hug, which Sami is just overjoyed to receive. And the one that gets the biggest cheer is straight after this. Sami is grabbed in the biggest hug by Jey Uso, the guy who has hated him this whole time. He picks up Sami and hugs him, bear hugs him. And then that's followed by one of the most ridiculous handshake sequences I've ever seen with him and Jimmy. which included like a lot of hitting each other on the back of the hand, on the side of the hand, on back and forth, and then they did like a slam dance, headbangers type thing at the end, and then the crowd thought this was great because, again, I think it's not so much a bloodline thing, it's more of a Sammy thing, because Sammy's just such a likeable guy. And again, Sammy's likability is the key to this whole storyline, because despite what happened tonight, I think there is still an expiry date on Sammy in the bloodline, and we'll just have to see where it goes. But that was the Survivor Series, and that, overall, I enjoyed it because it was more about the storyline and the storylines in all the matches really going forward. It wasn't no one was looking for star ratings here. This was all storyline based, which is I like my wrestling like that. I'm not one for a lot of pre-rehearsed spots. I'm not one for spot fests. I guess because it's so much movement, and at my age, it'll give me motion sickness, I suppose. But yeah, this was a really good pay-per-view. A lot of storyline development went down. I was a big fan of it. Hopefully you will watch it, and hopefully you've watched it and are coming here for your review. If you have, thank you very much. If you listen to this first, why? But again, if you are listening to this first, I appreciate it, because again, some people might say it saves me 3 hours of my day, and I can just hear about what happened. But if you do have the chance to check out some of the matches, by all means do. It was fine. It was a fine pay-per-view. I'd give it a solid 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, it was fine. 3.5. Yeah, not too bad at all. Nothing offensive, nothing silly. Just a good night of action, good night of wrestling, and the fact that I'm still awake says I'm still able to appreciate the show without falling asleep. So that's a bonus. Right, so hopefully this should be up relatively close to when I recorded it, because I'm doing it in a oneer, and we're not really going to edit this much, so this should be out pretty quick, which means from us at Heel Turn, you've got not one but two videos in a week. It really must be the season of giving. Don't ever say your boys at Heel Turn don't spoil you. But we're spoiling you. We really do spoil you. And you're welcome. And we love you for it. Right. It is rapidly approaching 7 a.m. I haven't slept yet. And I really should. Because later on, I've got some more recording to do, which you probably won't hear for at least another month. But such is life, and such is the plight of a YouTuber in the very early stages of their, let's not call it a career right now, just their hobby. We'll call it hobby for now, not a career yet. I'm not shopping for mansions and sports cars just yet. But yeah, that's the way it goes. But yeah, so thank you guys for listening. Thank you for subscribing, which I'm sure you have. Thank you for liking this video, which I'm sure you have. And thank you for leaving a comment below, which I'm sure you have. And I'm clearly running out of things to say, and my eyelids are getting heavy. So it's good night from me, good night from Curtis, and look out for our next video, which will be the following, well, it'll be next Saturday, because that's when your boys usually drop their stuff, is on a Saturday. I'm rambling now. I'm going to bid you a good night, farewell from myself and from my editor Curtis. We will catch you on the next one. Peace.